fiction, science fiction, horror, fantasy, crime, LGBT, thriller.
You have now entered the House of Mystery with your hosts, Eric Shapiro, David North Martino, John Copenhaver, and Al Warren. Heard on 106.5 FM Los Angeles,
102.3 FM Riverside,
and 105.0 AM Palm Springs.
Welcome back into the House of Mystery. I'm Al Warren, Mr. Dave Martino.
I'm here, yes. I thought you were going to say something else.
No, I'm being polite. This is me being polite. I thought
I'm not used to this, Al.
I know. I thought it'd be nice. Well, this is the dressed up celebrations. This is the 1,000th episode on NBC.
That's
KCAA,
right.
So it's I'm tired. I've been talking too much. Yeah, so it's crazy.
This is a party. Celebration.
Okay. Are you dressed in your tux?
I am.
I doubt
I got my hair cut today. Just so that I look good on the radio for this.
It's about time.
Show.
It's about time. You're starting to look like it was, the 60s again and all that.
Yeah.
Love, peace, and all that
Far
stuff.
out, man.
Yeah, I know. So anyways, we are having a recording artist on that kind of popped up on my radar a while ago. Really nice, good songs. So I thought we'd bring him on and let's talk about music and see what's going on there.
Sounds great.
I was always into that. So, Mr. Paul Manchin, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys. Congratulations, by the way, about the 1,000th episode.
Yeah, it's a shock. They haven't cut me off yet. They're letting this Canadian go wild in California. I don't know why. So how did you get into the music business? How did this happen for you?
Well, I think I've always had an interest in music from a very young age, and funny enough, the very first song I wrote was Fermez la bouche, was to shut your mouth. It was for my sister's French project. Right. I sort of started with that, and kind of led into my teenage years where I wrote a song for my aunt who passed away, called The Song Lives Forever, Une chanson reste du jour. And the funds went to the Canadian Cancer Society, and then from that, I became an active member with SOCAN in Canada, and the US I was with ASCAP and BMI. And then that's when I started to connect with a lot of talented musicians and recording artists.
When you sit down to do a song, how does it come to you? Like, how do you sit down consciously and say, okay, I'm going to write a song, or does something come to you when you're just doing something and it comes to your mind and then you start to put it together? Like, where does that all come from for you?
For me, it could be any of those things that you mentioned. It could be something where I've seen something or observed and I got inspired and I sat down at the piano. Sometimes I just might sit at the piano or just start jamming. So it varies, sometimes it's a melody in my head that just comes about, lyrics. So there's not one form, but when I connect with writers, usually we sit down, we get to know each other, and then we get inspired about writing about something we both are interested in. So that's sort of how it begins for me.
When you write with someone else, so you kind of have to have a connection in a way, right? Because you're kind of exposing yourself a little bit, your feelings, you're being vulnerable in some ways. So how long does that take for you to feel comfortable enough?
I think it's just, first I have an interest in what they do, musically, or they might reach out to me, we have a conversation, and we just give it a chance. I don't stop or close the door. I kind of have a conversation. We meet, and the expectation is we'll try to write a song we both believe in, that we really dig. And if it happens, it happens. If not, it's all good. It's no hard feelings. But luckily, I've been pretty lucky. Most artists I've worked with, we have connected. So, because we always find something where we'll meet. And, we're talking about things we enjoy, and and that we're interested in. We try to meet halfway.
Do you always have a particular meaning in your song, or does it just sort of come as it is and might turn into a meaning behind it? Or do you think about something? Do you see something that's happening on the news or sometimes and think, well, that's wrong, and you kind of want to make change? Do you kind of go on that route ever?
Generally, again, it kind of varies. It's not just necessarily what I see in the news. It could just be you walking down the street, observing. I mean, a lot of stuff is observational for me. I don't necessarily get political in my music, but a lot of my music can, relate to a lot of things that are going on because it's people's stories, right? Some is personal experience, of course, and then there's the observational piece. So, yeah, no, I would say more about just a feeling. It's hard to describe, except it's just I might be somewhere and see something and then just get inspired to write. Whether it's a struggle, people's struggles, or people's happiness, or trying to find the meaning of a purpose, those type of things.
Well, I want talking about writing from experience, and do you ever, I guess, go the fictional route? I know I was listening to an interview with Lisa Loeb, and she had mentioned that her big song "Stay" was actually fictional, that it actually didn't happen, and she didn't pull from her own life experiences. Do you do that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Lisa Loeb, I like that song a lot, and I've actually had the opportunity to work with some people that worked with her. She's a very talented artist. So as far as fiction goes, yeah, of course some, but it varies. I mean, a lot of it is what I see, right, or observe.
Oh, and I bet you see all sorts of things.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I try to be conscientious and just sort of see what's going on, think about things, and kind of interpret what I see.
I'm seeing things all the time, but that's a different story. Okay, now the first song we're going to play that I want to talk about is called "Gratification." Now, I really like that song. I listen to it when I'm in the shower, so I'm naked when I listen to it. So just so you know,
that's more than you wanted to know.
So what is that about? Like, I still haven't figured out exactly what it means.
The idea, imagine you're at a party, right? And you don't feel part of it. You don't feel like you can connect. And so you're not feeling part of something and you're not feeling accepted, right? So the song is about not needing acceptance, right? It's about having confidence in yourself, moving forward, not stuck or held in some kind of situation where you can't, you have to grow from it. And funny you mentioned the shower, because in the video, the lyric video, there's obviously water, and the idea of the water concept with the lyrics and the gratification is, when you're in water, you cannot sometimes be helpless, you're stuck, you can't move, but then there's the idea of that water can also be calming, and I find water very calming, and so it's kind of both those things. It's really how you address the situation. You're not needing someone to tell you it's going to be okay. It's really, you have to make it okay.
Like, you can be in a crowded room, but you can still feel alone.
Right, and that's the thing, is that you're that's where you have to have your confidence in yourself, and you kind of gravitate to where you feel the energy is good. And again, it may not even work in that room, and that's okay, because you're still there, and you're being you're a presence, and but you're learning from that, and you got to kind of move on and not be stuck. And that's what the song's about, not being stuck or trying to get out of that situation. I've always been drawn to people that are kind of bringing me up, and that's okay. You can always meet people that are always not going to see your vision, but I think it's really important to find people that do see your vision and work with you. So I think you have to determine what your interests are, and connect with people that you believe in and that believe in you.
Show me
Yeah, that's a great song. How do you think people can deal with social media? When I look at how much negativity there is on our social platforms and stuff, like you look at stuff like look at the Grammys just happened, and all the bad mouthing of different people for whatever reason, whether it's Madonna or whoever, some mean things being said. Does that affect you ever? Do you kind of get caught up in that?
No, because I think that's every person is their own person, right? So whether they have a positive outlet or a negative outlet on others, that's their perception and who they are. And I'm not able to change that, and I don't need to be drawn into that. I mean, I'm not at the level of, the Grammys, and those professional artists, that are amazing players. But, I think it's just who you are and what you do, your vision. And I think you just, again, it's just, you have to have a balance of people that you believe in, trust, and then search for that. As you grow, you're always going to meet people you're connecting with. I try not to get into that, no. And I try not to, look at other artists and try to figure out who they are. That's who they are. And it's not my purpose to find out or, discuss what they are, because I'm not them.
But on that Gratification song, you worked with a Grammy Award-winning David Bottrell. Wasn't he the producer? What's it like, and how do you come across people like that?
Yeah, so that's a really cool story, and thanks for asking. In 2007, Real World Music, Peter Gabriel's record company, was requesting people to remix the song Shock the Monkey. So myself and another remixer, we did a couple of remixes for that song, and we submitted it, and it ended up in their, I believe if it was top 25 or top 50 voted, like, popular, like, they liked it, and it was put in. And then from that, there was a radio station in New York City that had contacted me and wanted to release that mix that was done of Shock the Monkey. And of course, I don't own the rights to it, so I directed them back to the publisher of Real World, and that was Rob Boisei, who in turn, addressed that and spoke to them. But from making that connection with him, we kept in touch over the years, and it was not until 2018 where I told him that I was looking for a producer, and he connected me with David Bottrell at that point. And then also I was going down to Real World to record my project, other material that I was doing, not the one I did with David. And I worked with a really talented player out there named Amadou Diagne. As far as David Bottrell, I had his number. I reached out to him through Rob connected us. And I spoke to David. We decided to meet for coffee, get to know each other, see if it was a good fit. We met that one time, and then we actually, met in his studio. We wrote the song Gratification probably in about an hour or two. It was really done quickly. It was super easy. Like we connected on a really good level, and he's a very talented guy, and he understood where I was coming from. And then from there, it was just more production, and of course, production takes a little longer than that. But the actual song didn't take long at all. And at the time, to be honest, I didn't really know that David had worked with, Peter Gabriel or the Smashing Pumpkins or Rush or those guys. And it was just kind of like, that's very cool. It was just kind of like in the process of recording it where I made that connection. And I'm very grateful for Rob Boisei for connecting us. And then I'm also grateful for him connecting me to Amadou in England. So,
well, it's probably better that you didn't know, because wouldn't you feel a great deal of pressure if you knew you were working with someone that had credentials like that?
I don't think so, because my thought process in all of this is, whether you've worked with someone that's recognized or not, it's more about we meet, and it's kind of this connection where, there's kind of, we can be open about stuff. It's not about, at least not for me, it's not about egos. It's about, let's try to write a great song that we believe in. If I can find that, or we can come to that path together, then that's cool for me. I mean, of course it's cool, but I try not to let that be part of things happening. I'm going to speak up about the song, when we work together, because I believe in the song, and we have to believe the song together. I don't want to be, kind of put in one way and told how it should be, right? And I've been lucky with David and other producers.
Well, you mentioned remixing, and for the listeners, what exactly is a remix, and how is it accomplished, and what's the process that you go through to do something like that?
Yeah, so the process for remixes, like the example that I was telling about the Real World, they provided the acapellas of all Gabriel's vocals. They provided all the instrumentation, the different instruments. And then what you do is with a remix in general is, you might have a rock version or a rock alternative, and you may want to do a dance version of it. So you're kind of changing the vibe, and you might be adding new instrumentation. You might be changing the tempo. You might be using different sounds. It's just a different spin on the same song. So remix is just kind of like you're just doing another version of the same song. You're using the same chord progression, but you're just adding new elements or different tempos and melodies and that kind of vibe.
So now the next song we're going to play is called Turn It Up. So what can you tell us about that song?
So Turn It Up is about, imagine you're at a club and you notice, again, my music's observational. So I might see people, looking at each other in a club and they want to meet. And I see that this feeling is mutual. So, and it's kind of, I notice sometimes they're trying to build up the courage to say hello. So it's really about let's meet up, let's make a connection. And it's more of an upbeat track, more fun, energy-based kind of thing.
When you're doing the video for something like that, where do you come up with the idea?
So that was fun. I connected with Jerry Milinkovic. He produced it at Hills Video Production, and he also did the director of photography as well. And we sat down, we wrote a script, and my attitude was, let's just do something that's really goofy, silly. Let's use fruits, make it more energized, and little bit, and me biting apples or throwing things in the air or whatever, just something silly. And it was just kind of like that. And, and then Andy Walker, the editor, sat down and kind of edited it, and we just took the best things that we liked about it. I wanted to keep it very simplistic, and organic as much as I could.
Yeah, you have interesting expressions on your face when you're eating different fruits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Were they intentional, or you were just kind of going with it?
We were just being fun and silly and goofy, yeah. Yeah, it was just working and goofy going for that.
The way you look at me, clear as can be. Know you want to call. Not ready for this fall. Is it will to be with me? Not necessarily. I want you, want me. We were meant to be.
Now, the next song, Someone New. Again, your video on that's pretty cool. Like, I don't understand it, but that's probably because I'm old, but I like the video, like the phone with the little chicken or whatever that is.
The rooster? Yeah.
Yeah. I like watching it, but I don't know what I'm watching.
So it's funny. I picked up that rooster in Ottawa, and I just thought it was a finger rooster, right? So you put it on your finger and you're goofing around. The rooster is like, the idea of someone new is about rebirth, like a reincarnation kind of concept where, you go through different parts of your life, you're changing, and, whether you're rich or poor, whatever you are in your scenario, right? It's about not wasting time, right? And kind of valuing things around you and that kind of idea. So the video, I wanted it to be fun and, thinking of the rooster and the connection to rebirth and all of that. It was just to be kind of, keep it simple. It was a lyric video.
So that rooster was on your finger?
Yes.
I thought I'd check. You never know.
Absolutely.
I wasn't getting what you were going for there.
interests me, and I still didn't really kind of get here's this song and here's this video and all that, but where did it start? Like, who were you observing?
For someone new, it would have been both people I'm observing and sort of myself as well, personal experience. The idea of like going through different parts of your life, and you, obviously it's not all about me, it's more, but it can apply to me, I guess, or anyone. It's just that, kind of the idea of, we've kind of through like, have you been held back or not, those type of things, kind of making the idea of things better. But as far as an overall writing, I think writing has to come from what you feel comfortable writing about. It has to be, as you know, because I know about you, as you as a writer, and I think it's really important to just write about something that interests you or something you believe in. I don't think you should censor yourself in a writing situation. I think you should write whatever you want to write about. As far as music goes, I think it could be as simple as, sitting at a piano, just start banging it if you want, and just start screaming. Truthfulness is just kind of write whatever feels good to you, and even like playing with different sounds, tapping on a desk, getting a pencil and hitting your glass and doing like a Philip Glass is it Philip Glass, the kind of concept with glass, glass sounds and, anything, it could be anything. So I think it's just about, trying things and see what comes and record it, plus press record.
What genres and subgenres do you consider that you write in and perform in, and how did you get in to that style of music? What was the genesis of that? As
far as alternative rock, that would be the gratification, where if you think about, look at Turn It Up or someone new, it's got more of the house vibe or the electronic sounding music. For me, I start off always at the piano, and I'm classically trained. I didn't get very far. I only got up to grade 2 through the Royal Conservatory Music, but I don't limit myself to one genre. So, like with the first song I did with my sister, okay, that would be anything, I guess. But with my aunt, it was a ballad. When I worked with Brent Bodrug, who was working with Alanis at the time, we did a song called Phobia, and that had more of an R&B-ish kind of sound. And I've just kind of wanted to be open to trying all different genres. I know that with labels, a lot of them will say, what are you? What sound are you? And, or they'll ask you, this is what we'd like you to, the direction we want to take you. And that's something that I always struggled with, because I've never wanted to be, limited to one vibe. I pretty much covered a variety of vibes. They're genres, I should say. Soul, pop, R&B, electronica, hip-hop, dance, are some of the sounds I've done. I've done country. I got involved in scoring for film when I was younger. So those kind of things.
Okay, on the track, I Had a Dream. Let's get into that. Like, where did that come from?
So I Had a Dream deals with dream therapy, right? So it's, the Carl Jung dream therapy concept. And it's reconnecting with loved ones that passed, right? So dreaming for me is an amazing thing, because I think you can have a lot of stories in your dreams. And I think also one thing that's very nice is when you reconnect with loved ones that you no longer are here. And so that's what that song is about. The music video goes into more of a different vibe, but it talks about you'll see a blue light going on in the music video, and that's kind of representing the throat chakra, which talks about truth and expression. So there's that kind of idea, because there was a time when I was writing music where I would dream and I would have a pad next to my bed, and then if I woke up, I would write that dream down, and I would try to create a song out of that idea. But I'm definitely all about learning and open to, discover things and make sense of things. And I think that, that's something, for people and myself, I think it's part of life. You're still discovering new things. So,
throughout the day. I had a dream, it just came true. Standing here in front of you. Jump for you, high as I can. Nothing can stop me. Here I am. This is my world. Breathe the air. Talk to people. I now care. Gets easier. Was hard at first. It's time to let go of the worst. I had a dream. It just came true. Standing here in front of you. Jump for you. High as I can. Nothing can stop me. Here I am. The beauty of life, not for long. What's good for me is you. I have purpose because of you. Lay back, be cool. I had a dream, it just came true. Standing here in front of you. Jump for you, high as I can. Nothing can stop me. Here I am.
Do you have any experience with lucid dreaming?
What do you mean by that?
Well, that's kind of when your body's asleep, but your consciousness kind of wakes up in the dream. And once you wake up in the dream, you can kind of do whatever you want to do. Fly, walk around, go anywhere. It's kind of
that's cool. I think for me in my dreams, there's some dreams where like the flying, that's happened. I thought that was kind of cool. The one is where you're falling and you're endlessly falling and you're not going anywhere. I think the one interesting thing for me in dreams that I experienced is where I was in a dream and when you want to wake up and you're trying to say something and no words are coming out. And that was kind of freaky. If I sleep for 12 hours, which is very rare, I'll probably have a lot of dreams and very interesting to me for sure.
When you're writing some stuff like this, and it's very personal, like when you've got something to express, you're kind of making yourself vulnerable to people that are listening. They get to get inside your head and experience your feelings through your music. Does that ever sort of, do you get self-conscious about that, or you ever sort of think that you don't want to share certain things?
No, because again, the song is not just specifically about me. It's about, I try to make it relatable, right? Sort of, I write the song that interests me, but then, I make the connection of how does it help others, or, so no, I think for me, it's very, you grow from it. And I think it's really interesting to get people's perspective of what your music is about, because, people say, do you mean this or you mean that? And it's really interesting because it means I think songs mean different things for different, for people that have different thoughts and ways they see it, right? Just like the Lisa Loeb song, To Stay. I didn't even realize that was fiction. So, again, that meant something different to me until you pointed it out, Dave. That's a good.
I ruined it.
That's a good track. That's a good track.
Do things like I guess that we probably must, but stuff like the COVID and things like that happened to the world must have an influence on your writing, I would imagine.
Yes, I did continue to write during COVID, but I did give myself more of a break in terms of writing during that time. A lot of the songs I wrote just before COVID happened. I was finishing up tracks that were already existing when COVID hit. It was only, I think, even Fox in the House was started before. That was the latest CD I did, or a digital album, I should say, that I did. I did at Real World, and that was all done before COVID. And then, obviously, post-production and all that stuff was done during COVID. So there was very little new writing done. I think I wrote a couple of songs, but I didn't really do much with them. Maybe some influence, maybe because I was more determined to produce the songs and finish them, as opposed to focus on the writing. During COVID, we were very limited, as you know. So I think I focused in the music, the production side of it. So the influence was there for sure in production.
Now the song One. So where did it come from?
So that song, it comes from the loss of a loved one. And that's not specifically about me. It's about someone struggling, losing a partner. They are now no longer with them. And as you see in the music video, the woman in the video, she's struggling for loss. And then there's you'll see a glass there, and it might be alcohol. We don't know. I guess it's just kind of open. And there's potential addictions that could happen, for numbness and those type of things that people could do for loss. And I don't know if you noticed, but with the music videos, like One, for example, at the very end of the video, it says talk to someone, because the message is basically when you don't have someone there anymore that was important to you, and you need to talk to someone, that's what you should be doing. And that's what that song's about. So it's not a happy song, but it's a song that I thought was important to write about.
So you're gone. There's nothing left for me to carry on. You went away on my most important birthday. Remember you? We used to play the game all day and hide away. You were taken away. Never had a chance to say what was on my mind. How do I say I love you 100 times? I fall to my knees and call you mine. Now that you left this world, I'm all alone. Where do I call my home? I'm all alone. Years went by. Used to think about you time to time. Blue eyes, lost and always in some paradise. Remember you? We used to play the game all day and hide away. Taken away. Never had a chance to say what was on my mind.
Are music videos still having the impact that they used to have?
I think from what I've read, I don't think videos are being watched as much anymore. From what I'm seeing, I know that I think now lyric videos are becoming a little bit more common, and I think people are. There's so much out there on social media, and there's so much out there to see that there's too much information that people don't want to lose any of that. So, do people watch music videos? I think that's an individual question, but I from what I've read, videos are not. I hope videos become very trendy again, and because I think visual images are beautiful and can be beautiful, whether they're not happy images or happy image. I just think it's kind of nice to have, creative things going on, and you can connect to that and come up with stories and being watched as they, like the MTV era kind of thing where there were always music videos, and I think they're important. Are they being used as much? I don't think they are.
Silly me, I would have invested in MTV if I had money back then. And I'd be broke now. I thought they'd be around for a long time. I was surprised that a lot of that faded away, all the music channels, What do you hope people get out of your music? What do you hope that they take something away from your music other than just, a good song? Is there something deeper that you hope people pick up?
I think I think for me, it's about people, understanding the concepts, whether it be love, dance, equality, humanity, whatever it means to them. I think it's important for me to what they take from it is, they enjoy it. But then again, for me, a lot of it is hoping to grow and I'll never know how people will interpret it, but if they enjoy it, that's amazing to me.
Out of all your songs you've written and produced and stuff, do you have a favorite that you still love and you still love to do it?
I think there's a lot of songs. I mean, I connect with every song I've written in different ways, but I mean, for example, I think one of the songs, "What Makes People Happy," I think that's the song that I like because I wrote that song on a day where I was sitting at a pool and I'm like looking at the sky and I'm thinking like, what makes people happy, and try to figure that out. So that was kind of an interesting concept for me. Another song would be, as I mentioned earlier, for my aunt, "A Song Lives Forever." That was important to me. There's quite a few. I can't narrow it down to one because they all have meaning. If I were to do a set, I would probably, when I start gigging and stuff, I would probably focus on the new material and then play some of the old.
We had a decline of alternative rock and rock stations in my area, in the Boston area.
Right.
And there's been a lot of consolidation of music on terrestrial radio. And I'm wondering, have you found that this is the same case around the country and in Canada? How are people finding music today? Is it through new media, or is there some other way that that people are kind of discovering new artists and new genres?
Yeah, so the first part, the decline, as you were mentioning about the rock alternative or the rock music vibe. That was interesting because I was talking to an artist. She and I were doing the same gig at one point, and we were talking about that, and she'd said that, there's X amount of radio stations now in Canada. I'll use Canada as an example. There's not as many, right? And then there was they were talking about different songwriting genres, and country was sort of a genre that's sort of strong still in the U.S. So the rock, I heard, is declining. Not as many radio stations for that. The second part about how do we find like new artists and in that genre, I think a lot of it is, through social media. It's about, checking out new bands, checking out indie artists. And I say this, very respectfully and appreciative, like Dave Allen, you doing this broadcast and this show for me, like where you're playing my music, that it's people that take, chances on artists like yourselves that give us a platform. And I think that that's really cool because, if you think back to Elvis, or you think about Billie Holiday, and you think of all these artists that, had a lot of things that were holding them back. And then you had these really cool people that were like giving them opportunities to play the music and open up a lot of doors for people. So I just think I think it's really about, if I can say this, where broadcasters are taking more chances on new artists and record labels, not even record labels, because now record labels want to see a following and all of that, but just different social media outlets, that are giving people the opportunity. And I'm grateful that within the last 3 or 4 years, starting off with Jerry Young and current management, he, helped me get my music out there. And then I was kind of like, following up with different stations, and I'm so appreciative to all these stations that have been supporting the music. I guess it's really about, and also maybe just, reaching out to radio stations. And if you're not an artist and you want to hear new rock music, just saying, hey, can we hear some new rock bands, or can we hear, whatever genre you're into, and say, hey, like, it'd be cool to hear what they're doing. And can you play something more current? And,
yeah, play something more current. Stop playing that old stuff.
That's all good too. Like, don't get.
That's right.
No, so who would you work with if you said, listen, someone says to you, who would you want to work with, and I can get them for you? One person, or one band, or one producer, one whatever. Is there one person you'd like to work with?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and that's a really hard question, because I think it's really about, for me, just working with people that really believe what I'm doing, and I'm going to bring out the best out of my vibe. Just to go back a little bit, I want to share with you that, some of my influences were Peter Gabriel, Tori Amos, Seal, Tears for Fears, David Sylvian, those kind of, Pat Metheny, like those artists I kind of respected. And I think when I had this opportunity to work with David Bottrell and then get published by Real World, Gabriel's publisher, I was like, I think that sort of happened for me. And now it's kind of, which I'm grateful. And I think for me now, it's just like, I just want to continue connecting with people that are wanting to work together and come up with something really cool. So it's a really hard question. I think I've kind of been happy where I'm at.
Now, another song we're going to play here, it's called King. And I know it's not about me. So tell us a little bit about that song.
So King, the idea behind that is everyone should be their own king or queen, lead their own path, and not be confined to one thing. Just leading their own thing, taking their own direction.
If I was king for a day, happy, you say, that's okay. If I was king for a day, I'd have a feast in every way. Uncrown me, let's leave royalty behind. Nothing to do with this crime. Don't control my mind. I'm not a fool, won't play the rules. I'm not a fool, won't play this game. If I was king for a day, lay with every queen touching my head. If I was king for a day, escape this palace in every way. Uncrown me, let's leave royalty behind. Nothing to do with this crime. Don't control my mind. I'm not a fool, won't play the rules. I'm not a fool, won't
how do people find you? What's your website, YouTube, anything like that? Let's give out all your information. And if people want to look you up and kind of listen to your music and see who you are, where do they go?
Sure. So my website's paulmanchin.wixsite.com/Paul Manchin. I'm on digital platforms, so I would be on Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, Tidal, 7 Digital, Deezer, YouTube Music. As far as social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, WordPress, TikTok, SoundCloud. So those are ways to find me.
Fantastic. Of course, we'll have that up on our website as well, so people can find you. And really appreciate you being on.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
You've been listening to the House of Mystery radio show. To find out more about our guests, hosts, or show, go to www.houseofmystery.com.
Show's over for now.
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Yeah. Good night.
This has been a production of Something Weird Media.
I'll be back.